And now it's a walk down memory lane. This is my favorite segment of the podcast. I'm talking, of course, about the Android journey story. If you're a listener and would like to come on live and talk about your Android journey story, or would rather record and send it to us, then contact us via email at contactus@blindandroidusers.com. And now, here's this week's episode guest to talk about their Android journey story. Well, now let's move on to my most favorite segment of the podcast, and that we're talking about that Android journey story. So this is my favorite part of the episode. And of course, you guys have heard Rob's voice, our guest for today. And Rob, I want to welcome you again to the Blind Android Users podcast to talk about your Android journey story and the projects that you're involved in back there in Zimbabwe. Tell us a little bit as to what's going on in your area, Rob. Are you guys, is it hot or what's going on? Is it harvest time? What's going on in Zimbabwe?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Warren and Tim. So here in Zimbabwe, it's summertime. We recently were in winter. For us, May, June, and July are winter. I'm sure for you guys it was summertime.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. So for us, it was winter and it was a little bit cold. Now that it's what, after winter, it should be what, spring or something, or summer or something. Here, our weathers are mixed, but
So
the main one is
tell
summer.
me something. If it's
Yes.
if it's summertime, when is your harvest time? When do you guys harvest your crops?
Okay, so now it's plowing time. So we should be harvesting around February
Oh
or
my!
March of the next year. So now we are waiting for the rain, which will be starting in October. So naturally, that means September is a hot and a very hot month, and the heat has already started now. So yeah, we hope this heat will produce rain because there's been drought for the past 2 years. That has affected electricity and food. Yeah, food.
I
So
see. So
yeah,
you and South Africa, and I think that also Australia is part of that. I call it the craziness, but it's the beauty of the world, isn't it? How everything is different in every part of the world. I'm just sitting here imagining that, we're heading into winter and, we're harvesting, apples and, crops and whatever, all sorts of crops, being harvested. And you guys are just going to be plowing, it's just
yeah,
mind boggling.
Yeah, because now it's time for, I think, when the leaves are falling, what do you call it? Is it spring, right?
That's the fall. That's the
That's the fall.
Yeah.
Autumn. Yeah, we are in the autumn now because leaves are falling down. Then they become the manure. In 2 months' time, then we start planting.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, all right. That's great. So let's talk about your Android journey story, Rob. Take us down that memory lane when you got started with Android, all the difficulties you went through. We all have our Android journey stories. Sometimes some people have it rougher than others, and other times you have people like Sally who would have to take the battery out just in order to end a call. Take us down that memory lane.
There you
Wow.
go.
What a
That's
journey.
more like still the top.
So-
It's a breaker, that one. I never thought of that one.
Yeah.
But he had to. He couldn't figure
Yeah.
a way to end the call,
Exactly, that
and
was
he had
it.
to take out the battery. And that was back then when we had removable batteries. I don't know what he would have done today. Bang the
Like
phone
I
on the
removed
wall.
it because why not?
I can imagine. I'm trying to imagine what you would have done.
Oh
So
boy!
my Android journey started in 2012. Before that, I was using what we used to call the Nokia E65, and then I moved on to the E63. Those were button phones around 2010. So I had a friend who was using a Nokia N70 from 2008 or so, I was a bit skeptical about Android because we believed that button phones are the best, but only time and circumstances pushed us to join the Android journey in 2012, 2013, thereabout. So I began, in 2015, I went for the Kantari course in India because also due to funds, we couldn't access these new phones. So when I got to India in 2015, I used one of my stipends to purchase a new phone. And there was no way, because my first choice was to get a button phone, believe me. But there was no way in which I could get a button phone around that time. And they told me all button phones are being phased out. So my Android phone actually began in 2015, though I had seen some, especially the iPhone, around 2012, 2013. And some people had Android phones with TalkBack, though we didn't understand what TalkBack was. We only knew of talks with Zoom and speech for button phones. So in 2015, after purchasing what we called the Lenovo A6000 Plus, it was a very cool phone with 32 gigabytes of, it was 16 actually. Yeah, 16 gigabytes of storage and 2 gig RAM or 1. That is when I saw and came across the opportunities of Android and most importantly, being equal with sighted people, who sighted people had already moved to touch screen phones with the S3, I think, S3 Mini, S3. So
It was a great phone, the S3 series. I like that
yeah,
phone. Yeah.
okay. I'm glad you used it. We're using it with TalkBack as well.
Of course, yes. We had talked back on the S3, and it was one of my first entry into Samsung. And although the S4 was my most favorite phone, but the S3 was absolutely beautiful back in
Wow.
2012.
So I
I
wasted a
mean,
lot of
S3 was beautiful back
S3,
in
yeah?
2012. Yeah, and then S4 was in 2013. But yeah, it had talked back, and all those watery sounds, from Samsung, the Touch Wiz. I
Yes.
hated that water sound.
People loved it. I don't even hear in Zimbabwe.
I
People
turned mine
love
off.
music.
I don't like sounds. I hated that.
Yeah. So my journey began with the Lenovo A6000 Plus. The TalkBack had to be installed from Google Play Store. So it had a problem of turning on and off on its own. I don't know why, because what I've realized in the past years that I've used Android is that TalkBacks, which come pre-installed on the phone, they behave properly. I mean, they behave well. They may not be perfect, but they work well. But those which we install or which we side load from what we call Play Store or these other apps on the internet, they don't work well. So they have a lot of challenges. But I stayed with that phone until it got lost in 2018. So that's where I moved on to the Huawei P Smart 2018. Yeah, but then when it stopped updating in 2020, I think that's when I moved to the Samsung. That is where most possibilities of Android opened up. Because I thought I'd known everything about Android, but then the moment I turned on to Samsung, things really came back to life. I mean, I had some possibilities and opportunities, and the way in which I explored TalkBack using Samsung seemed more thorough and more powerful than these other phones where I was installing TalkBack from the Play Store. So Yeah, I also had challenges with the Android, but as someone who is always curious, um, I learned that, for example, if topic turns off, because it could turn off at 1 a.m., for example, and you wake up and you would want to check the time at 2 a.m., I will find that the phone is off. So I would go out to listen if there was someone, because when I was at Kantar in India, we were learning with sighted people. It was more of a leadership training program. So we would sighted people. So I would listen to see if someone can turn back on the talkback for me. So it was a really difficult time until I understood about the shortcut of turning off and on the talkback. So by that time, but then the challenge with when talkback went off, I could not turn off, cut the call or hang up on the call, because I would not be hearing or seeing what is happening on the screen.
Yeah, you
So
got to
things.
check out the battery. Yeah, in this case.
But for me, I will tell someone, please, I'm busy. Can you please drop the phone on your side? So before someone hangs up, before we end up our conversation, I will tell them that please don't forget to hang up from that side. It was more like an ad, like warning, please turn off, please
Yeah.
drop the call from that side.
Totally
So
makes sense.
yeah. But the first time that I had an Android, it was really, Samsung. It was really an eye opener. I don't know if I should say that, because I could do a lot of things on my phone. And then one of our friends from your side, he sent me a Pixel 5. His name is Nima. He sent me a Pixel 5. That was 2021. When was it released? I think 2021. It was really
that was in 2020. Pixel 6 was released in 2021. Pixel 5 was back in 2020. It was a lousy Pixel, the lousiest Pixel from
Google really
ever. Yeah, that's Pixel 5.
Oh, for me, I thought it was better than Samsung, because the performance.
Depending on what you had from Samsung.
Okay.
This would have been miles from what your Samsung was. So definitely. And I mean, it still had the pixely whatever. It's just that it was an underpowered device, very girly. Excuse me, ladies. I love you guys, but it was such a low phone. And, I think it was running Qualcomm 7 whatever. I don't remember now, but I had that phone. I never liked that. And the sound Google was experimenting with under the glass sound, and it was it was a bad decision. So it's like Pixel 5 reminds me of the Windows Millennium from Microsoft, the baby that shouldn't have been conceived.
Yeah, so I thought the Pixel was faster, but I failed to maintain my Pixel lifestyle, because that's the phone that I thought was the best for me. But in that time, I was using Samsung. Is it the A series? One of the lowest. It was A31.
Okay. Or maybe it was the J7 series or one of those A series.
The A31. It was using MediaTek. So when I came across the Pixel, really, Pixel was fast. Plus the talkback was.
Oh yeah. Now the Pixel will definitely blow that out of the water, no question.
Yeah, it was really a great time for me. So I'm still on the budget phones of Samsung, but trying to be on the higher side. I wonder how it feels like to have a S24. I always enjoy the submissions from John on the powerfulness of the S series, because on the A series you get updates a bit later. But anyway, we are happy with that. So here in Zimbabwe, what I do after having realized this dream, this Android dream, I'm now training other blind people on how to use Android phones with TalkBack. And here in Zimbabwe, we have one of the popular brands called itel. It's a Chinese phone. It doesn't come with the TalkBack pre-installed. Once again, it's more like it's $100 phone. I mean, you can get a 32 gig and 3 or 4 gig RAM, basic phone. So I train them on how to use TalkBack and how to customize TalkBack for our benefit. So all the shortcuts are there, like turning volume up and down for turning it on, but you set it once you install the TalkBack part of it. So those are some of the projects that we do here. We also train on computer literacy, mobility, like daily living skills. Though most people, when they come to us, they want to know about how to use an Android phone, how to get on WhatsApp as a blind person, how to use Telegram, and so on and so forth. So yeah, basically that's my Android journey, which I'm now sharing with other blind people here in Zimbabwe, so that we are all on the same page.
Well, I have a comment and I have a question for you.
Yes.
First, you reminded me of a personal experience. I think it was the Lenovo A6000. That was a terrible phone. I can say it confidently.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, for me,
Actually,
I stray with that phone.
Oh boy.
yeah, indeed. You know what? Before, I didn't get it for myself. It was for my mom. When it was on the version that it came with, the Android version, I don't remember which was the Android version, but it was having TalkBack and the shortcut.
4.2.
I don't remember really, but it was having the TalkBack, the shortcut, everything was okay. Then it received an update. It was an Android upgrade. I think it was the only upgrade actually it received. But I was updating confidently, and then when the phone turned on, I had no speech, nothing. So they literally removed TalkBack completely. And I think that also the shortcut wasn't there. And the problem is that, as you said, you can install TalkBack, but you can't bring back the shortcut. So it will be something terrible, you know. So, and it was really, really, really very slow phone. Actually, even when TalkBack wasn't used, it was something that is that was so slow. So really, I can know what the terrible experiences that you passed through, and I'm glad that this didn't prevent you from continuing with Android, because back then, if that was my phone, I was ready maybe to throw it or to break it. I don't know. It was really terrible. So yeah, kudos to your determination. And the question is, you are talking about the itel phones. Did you try to contact them? I'm really surprised that there is still a company that doesn't include TalkBack built in. I thought that we are past those things now, but I'm really not liking this. What they are doing. So did you try to contact them, to communicate with them, to tell them about accessibility and the importance of having TalkBack built in the phones, in the operating system?
Okay, thank you so much for the question and the experiences. Yeah, we tried to send an email to I think their main company is called Infinix, I think, because they are the same guys who do what we call techno phones. Those are some of the popular phones here in Africa. Techno and
but
itel.
Techno has, I think, TalkBack installed. Don't they? Saleh, I think you have some experience with that.
Well, obviously, Technophones have TalkBack built in, so it just needs to turn it on. Recently, one of my friends was playing with the Techno Spark, which is not the flagship from Techno, and it still has talkback.
Wow. But they are the same company from what we hear. So we tried sending emails to ITEL directly itself, but then it didn't work. The emails were bouncing.
Those are the transient holdings, or I don't know how they call it, based on Hong Kong, right?
Yeah, it's in Hong Kong. So Transsion, should be Transsion. They own both ITEL and Techno. But ITEL is far much cheaper than Techno here in our country, because with $70 you can get an ITEL phone. So I don't know if TalkBack is expensive to install on the system, or to integrate TalkBack with Android Go, or some of their apps.
I think, yeah, exactly. That was what I was going to say. It comes with Android Go, and those phones on Android Go, they don't have TalkBack.
That's terrible.
No, I think that Google Talkback works on Android Go.
Yeah, they do. I had a ZTE Android Go device that came with Oreo. It had built-in TalkBack, and I also got a Nokia Go Android Go phone, and it also has. I think what's happening is that sometimes maybe the people working on it just kind of overlook that part of it, while their parent company that's producing more expensive phones, take the time to integrate this TalkBack accessibility into the phone. So it's just one of those things. And I was in Africa right back in February. And I saw all kinds of phones that I'd never seen before. It's amazing. Lots of different Chinese phones I'd never heard of.
So many of them. So many of these Chinese phones. But TalkBack, zero.
My gosh. Unbelievable. Yeah. But so I think that's the problem. Those guys often forget about it. I have, there was a Chinese phone that I got because I like to try different phones, and I think that was called the Verni. It came with TalkBack, Sally, like you are saying, or like Karen was saying. But when it got an update, believe it or not, the TalkBack was gone.
Just like that. So I think the challenge is that how Warren has put it, that they overlook the importance of TalkBack, plus also the issue of laws. Here in Africa, many countries don't have accessibility laws. Like if your device is not accessible, you cannot sell it here. We are not yet at that stage. So once TalkBack or anything to do with accessibility is overlooked, no one is there to follow up. And if you are following up as an individual, like one or two or three individuals, like as blind Android users, they may not take us seriously. But if it's a government, somehow, because those are the ones who control the whole market, something could be done. So we are trying our best to make sure that accessibility is put as part of the laws, like the Americans with Disabilities Act or anything similar in different developed countries.
I think that's the key you just pointed out there, Rob. If there are no laws or regulations, anything can happen, so it just becomes like a dumping ground, and people just dump whatever they have, not paying attention to those things. And frankly, I think you're on the right path, and maybe you guys could influence the government, or you have a representative there that gives them advice on accessibility. This should be something they should look into, making sure that every phone sold in Zimbabwe has accessibility. I think that would be a cool thing.
Yeah, I believe that also.
I got a comment and a question in the same time too, Rob. Since, the internet connection is not pretty stable in those areas in Africa, especially for those having low income, and thus they cannot really listen to the podcast, and sometimes it's not really easy, right?
Yes,
So
it's not really easy.
just to leave this gap, this is what we are trying to do. Like, this is the core principle that we started with accessibleandroid.com. Even though some people cannot watch videos, cannot listen to the podcast, it wouldn't be that easy for them, like listening to them every week. When they can listen to them this week, they cannot do the same for the next week because the data is expensive for them. But here we have the website accessibleandroid.com. They can go with even a low data plan. They can read the articles. So that's what we are trying to do for those people living in Africa or in low income countries when they have less stable connections. And yeah, this is what we are trying to do. I couldn't really express myself enough, but this is what we are trying to do. And sometimes we get in comments about it. Okay, this is something you're doing great. It's not easy for us to watch videos and reviews and things like that. But when we haven't written, that's something we can really follow up.
Yeah, I think your app, Sally, is your website. I mean, even the app itself, I was trying to see, I tested it to see how much data, as you say it consumes.
Yeah.
But I'm seeing that it works well with our low internet latency, we call it in connection. Yeah, it works well.
You do, though, however, Rob, have a nice connectivity because,
Yeah, this
you've
is
not been
awesome.
breaking at all. I mean, this is awesome. So I am really thankful that you were able to come and join us. And Android journey stories are always my favorite. And if we have more people like you coming on from Africa to hear about the Android journey stories, I think that would absolutely be cool.
Something that my friend Saleh forgot to say, and I'm going to say, is regarding the project itself, the content. So actually, you're welcome to contribute to the project, as we always say, it's a hybrid project. I don't know if you spent time dealing with the website, checking the website. So as you're a person who is working on training material, on like discovering stuff, and it seems that you're eager always to discover new things and to check what's new. So I think if you have time and you like to contribute, of course it's all voluntary. It's let's say it's a community-driven project, so you are welcome to do so. You or your friends or anyone you know. Like if you want to submit an app. If you want to write like a simple guide, a simple tip, whatever, you're welcome to do so. So feel free to check the website and to ask questions and to send feedback as well. And of course, to contribute if you like to.
Thank you so much, Kerry and Sally. We will definitely contribute as the community of Zimbabwe in Africa, and we will also bring some things which are contextual to Africa so that you also understand how things work in Africa here, like what I've just said about TalkBack, which turns off anytime. So because of our budget phones. So those are some of the things that we need to learn from each other as the blind community the world over. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much, Rob. It's been wonderful having you on the podcast today. And I've always say that, whenever anyone feels like coming on as guest, they should just let us know and come and talk and chat with us, just like we're having fun today. Again, it's been such a great time having you on the episode, talking about your Android journey, and I love every bit of it. Thank you so much for giving us your time, and I hope you do come again and chat with us.
Thank you.